All right, so let's talk about the arcade. All right, the 1980s and 1990s, the arcade was the it place, the hangout spot where you could play Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, 1942, endless amount of awesome games. You know, the Ninja Turtles, can't forget those, all the Turtle games. Even the Simpsons had games in the arcade. It was the pop culture place. The arcade back in the day was where to be. It's where I'm at now. You can see me in the background. I'm hanging out in an arcade. So this all comes from a birthday party I had for my son. We went to an arcade down the street from us, and I'm showing you video in the background. Just kind of got me thinking what the arcades were, what they were when I was a kid, what they did. And I'm just gonna do like a quick timeline, and then through the 2000s, and then now in the 2020s. Well, first off, I grew up in the 90s. I think you all know this by now. Basically, my whole channel is turned into a 90s nostalgia channel. But the arcades for me back in the day, let me set the picture. Mid 90s, I grew up in the Chicagoland, a little outside of Chicago. And this little spud would be taken to the bowling alley every Friday night. Something like that. Every other Friday night, every Friday night. And my parents would love bowling. If you're from the Midwest, you probably are big bowlers, especially in the winter, because there's nothing else to do but watch football and bowl. So in that bowling alley was a room with probably about 10 arcade machines. They had the quintessential pinball machines. I believe there was an Indiana Jones, and then there was a Street Fighter 2 machine and a 1942 machine. Those are specifically why I brought it up. Also a Daytona racing simulator machine. And I would go in there with no quarters. Parents never gave me any quarters. They expected me to just, not get in trouble, but go have some fun. And I would watch the demos over and over and over again. The Street Fighter guys fighting each other, and I'd grab the controls and try to play, and never played. I think I was lucky enough one time to play the Daytona racing game once, and it was fantastic and everything I wanted about it. But that was my life in the 90s. Was I went to the arcades. I guess I watched other kids play, but I never got to play, and I kind of just hung out in the arcade with the older kids and whatnot. And then, as time went on, I got less interested in the arcades, and I started playing the games at home because, I didn't need a quarter for that. I would just sit down in front of the TV, and me and my brother would play Super Nintendo until we were content. But it seemed like at that time the arcades were going away. They wasn't as popular. I hit the tail end of when arcades were popular, and there were still arcades in the mall. It was still a thing in the 90s and mid late 90s. And then the 2000s came along. Britney Spears got popular. Justin Timberlake was a thing. And if you didn't have bedazzled jeans on, you weren't cool, right? What else did we wear? The Dutch hats, the just random 2000s stuff, really baggy jeans. And I was a big skateboard kid, so I was all about baggy pants and fat DC shoes, and I thought I was a cool little spud. But the arcades kind of went away, but there was a little spike, and it was DDR, Dance Dance Revolution, and I never got into it. And if you're into it, awesome, but I was a jaded little punk ass kid, and I thought I was cool, and I thought that stuff was lame, so that wasn't for me. But I did have friends who were into it, and they would go spend all their time doing DDR, and retrospectively, that's kind of neat. That's kind of cool. They're in there getting fit and doing some really neat moves that I couldn't do. But all the other machines were kind of left alone. Like Street Fighter didn't have a line anymore. The Mortal Kombats it wasn't a thing anymore. It was popular in certain little niche groups, but it wasn't the it thing, At that time, it was about Counter-Strike, LAN parties, and Halo Online and all that. It wasn't about going to the arcades and playing Street Fighter anymore. So it kind of moved on from there, and it kind of died. But then something neat's really happened in the last couple of years, and I'm actually a little late to the party here, but the barcades are getting huge now. So I went to the first barcade in Chicago. I don't remember the name of it. I apologize. I went back to Chicago a few years ago with some of my friends, and in that barcade they had Turtles in Time. They had everything. They had Burger Time. I'm just listing off a few, but they had the classics. They had all the different Mortal Kombats. It was a warehouse of arcade machines. And then you can go up in the center of that warehouse was a bar, and you can get any beer you wanted, a craft beer, non-alcoholic beer, whatever you wanted. And then you would go, and they didn't want you setting the beers and drinks on the cabinets themselves. They had little stands next to it where you'd put your drinks, and you would just play. So you're able to drink your beer and play your games, and a quarter is worth a lot less money now than it was in the late 80s and 90s. And so all the machines are still a quarter or 50 cents to play, whatever it is. But for the most part, the price of that cabinet has not risen, and it's all original cabinets. Well, the one I went to was all original cabinets. It was a fantastic time. I remember getting $20 in quarters, and it's like a handful, and stuff in my pockets, and going to the Turtles machine, and me and 3 of my buddies got as far as we could into that machine until I ran out of $20 in quarters. Then we went to the next machine. It was this Japanese table flipping game. I'll try to find it and put it on the screen for us. But once we found this game, we were enamored. And it wasn't that it was fun or intriguing in the sense of like a good video game. It was, why is this thing here? Who thought of this, and why are we flipping tables? But the whole point of an arcade is to have fun, right? And the machines want you to feed quarters so they can get more money. But going back to my son's birthday party, we rented this place out, and I got to talk to the owner, not for as long as I wanted to, because he was busy working the party and I was busy watching my kids, making sure they didn't break anything, because I can't afford one of those cabinets. However, he's got one cabinet that I'm showing you here now, and it has thousands of games. It emulates all the different games, but I thought it was a pretty neat idea because he doesn't have a lot of room in his arcade. It seems like he has an older house next to his house that he renovated into an arcade. And he's got like a pizza party or a pizza area out front, a little party area, a little side room, and then like the main living space he turned into an arcade. And arcade machines are big. You can't fit more than probably 3 in a house without it being ridiculous, right? Even 3, I think, I don't know. I don't have arcade cabinets because I don't have the room. I already have my gaming set up in my collection. I feel like I've got too much already. But he showed me one arcade cabinet I don't know anything about, but he had all the games on there. I didn't have enough time to sit down and really go through it all. I played a few of the games I wanted to, but the idea of getting an arcade cabinet and turning it into an emulation machine, I'm sure it's not new. However, it was really cool to see in this guy's arcade. At first, when my wife told me, he goes, yeah, he's got this machine that's got all these different games on it, it's not just one, I thought, well, that's cheating. But then I kind of came to realize, like, not everybody has a mall where they can, or a warehouse where they can put all the original arcade machines in it. You have to make do with what you have. Just like I made do with what I had when I was a kid with no quarters watching the demo. But now I don't have to watch the demo. I can actually feed the quarters if I want. But also the cool thing about the party was the owner turned all the games on to free play. So I paid for 3 hours, I think, of game time, and I let all the kids in there and all the adults, obviously adults, got in there and played, and we had a blast. I had all the free play we wanted. They had Big Buck Hunter in there, and the evolution of the arcade and where it is now. It's not a barcade, this is for kids, so it's more tailored to what we had when I was a kid. However, they also had like a Wii setup for the Wii games, and they had an Xbox 360, Xbox One. They didn't have the now gen consoles. However, it was kind of a weird idea, a neat idea, where they had the beanbag set up and you can play whatever you wanted. I had to kick my youngest son off of Minecraft because he found Minecraft. I'm like, dude, we got Minecraft at home, why are you playing Minecraft here? So I kicked him off of that, made him go play something else, and he got really enamored with the air hockey machine. Him and his friends were playing air hockey, and I found the Area 51 machine. I was, blasting bad guys and aliens with my basically with a light gun, the old light guns. But so arcades now, they're tailored towards adults for the most part. They have some older ones that, or older style ones for just kids, but adults can go have fun in. But now the 2000s and then, or the 90s kids have grown up, and we've taken our arcades back and decided we want arcades and we want our beer. So we have arcades. I think that's fantastic. But that was just kind of my thoughts on the arcade and my thoughts on my weekend. It's kind of me rambling and talking about arcades. There's probably no real history here, and I probably got a lot of stuff wrong, but I'm a potato. What are you gonna do? Hope you have a great time, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.